What's up, guys? Coming to you today with Week 4 college football action on a packed Saturday of NCAA football here on September 20th. We're going to cover a bunch of the biggest games of the day, and I'll give you my favorite picks on each one of them. I'll also give you my favorite lock of the day and my favorite underdog pick of the day, so slam that like button and subscribe to the channel to make sure you keep seeing these videos every single day. Let us know what you're thinking in the comments. I personally read and answer every comment I get. Check the pinned comment throughout the day to see our favorite picks, and you should definitely check back a couple of times throughout the day to see if there are any changes with injury news coming out and personnel changes coming in at the last second. Last week, guys, we did all right. It wasn't anything special, not nearly as well as the premium college football picks did. We ended up 3-3 on the day, breaking out on Clemson there. We had Michigan as big favorites. They came through for us. UConn was a tough loss there. Pittsburgh was a tough loss, but Texas Tech really came through. Another very sizable favorite cashing there last week. We also had East Carolina, and they really took care of business in that game. So a 3-3 week, obviously not exactly what we're looking for. The premium did do quite a bit better there, so we'll be breaking that down here a bit later. But right now, guys, we got a ton of games to break down, so we're not going to mess around. We're going to get right in the mix. The first game we're going to be looking at today in NCAA football Week 4 is the Maryland Terrapins heading to Wisconsin to take on the Badgers. Last week we saw Maryland have a pretty good one there against Towson, and the Terrapins have gotten off to a good start to their season. Now, there aren't any games on their schedule we would have expected them to lose, beating FAU, Northern Illinois, and then Towson. Wisconsin's going to be their first real test here. They looked good against Towson. Obviously not a ton of complaints. Malik Washington passed for 1 touchdown and 1 interception in the game, so, not exactly lighting the world on fire, but he was okay. The running game looked decent, but not elite. Not what you would expect them to really do against a team as bad as Towson. So we'll see if the offense can get a little bit back on track. I mean, Octavian Smith Jr., 4 receptions for 103 yards. That looks amazing, but what are you going to do against a real secondary here? We're going to have to wait and see. Obviously, there's reasons to be excited if you're a Maryland fan, but also, this team is completely untested. On the defensive side, they did an okay job against the pass. They did come with 1 interception, but also give up 2 touchdown passes. They did a good job against the run. Not that the Towson Tigers were able to run the ball too much, since they were down 17-0 in the first quarter and 34-0 in the first half. In terms of generating a couple turnovers, that's nice. Giving them 17 points, that's nice. But I'm going to need to see a little bit more here from the Terrapins on defense, especially going against an elite opponent here in the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, Wisconsin, they come into this game 2-1 on the year. They knocked off Miami, Ohio comfortably in a shutout. They beat MTSU. Well played there, 42-10. Last week, they were in a pretty bad spot, guys. They had to go to Alabama to take on the number 19 Crimson Tide, who, haven't exactly gotten off to the start they wanted to this season. Wisconsin was walking into one there. They had a rough time against Ty Simpson. He put up 4 touchdown passes on him. We didn't love what we saw from Danny O'Neal. Got picked off twice, only 117 yards through the air. The running game didn't get to put in the normal amount of work the Wisconsin, offense is going to want to do, since they were down 21-0 there in the first half. The second half, they looked pretty good. They did lose it 14-17, but they kept things pretty respectable there against an obviously very elite Alabama team. We do have a decent amount of faith in the Wisconsin Badgers this year. Like, in that tough matchup, they fumbled the ball away 0 times. Those 2 interceptions were unfortunate. They did a great job of holding the Alabama rushing attack in check. That was a good thing. They obviously did struggle against the pass. That's going to happen, especially when you're going against such a talented group. But overall, I wasn't that upset with what we saw from the Badgers there against Alabama, at least not in the second half. So we'll see if they've got a bounce back in them in this game. Looking at the numbers here, guys, the Badgers are actually significant favorites at home. A team with a pretty solid home field advantage, I will say. They're 10-point favorites. We've got a total of 44.5 in this game. The Terrapins are 1-2 against the spread this year. So is Wisconsin. Both teams 1-2 against the spread. Guys, here in our first game of the day, I'm going to be looking at Wisconsin at -10. They were clearly outmatched against Alabama. That's going to happen to some teams, but we do like how they fought late. A positive momentum there towards the end of their loss. We'll take that for sure. I think they're going to carry that momentum into this home matchup against a very manageable Maryland opponent here. Pretty low on Maryland, even though the Terps are 3-0. Those wins not exactly against elite level competition. And even with these results, Maryland still ranks 76 in the nation in offensive output. That definitely makes me like Wisconsin even more in this game. Definitely like them here at -10. Next up, guys, we're looking at the North Texas Mean Green headed to Army to take on the Black Knights. North Texas is off to a 3-0 start to the year, beating Lamar, Western Michigan, and then beating Washington State. I'm not going to throw you a parade for any of those wins, but all you can do is beat who's in front of you, and they have done that. In that blowout win against Washington State, they played well. I'm not going to say anything bad about a 59-10 win. The quarterback play looked solid. Very good stuff from both guys that ended up under center in that game. The running attack looked good, but this is going against Washington State, so let's not freak out too much. They had 4 total rushing touchdowns in that game. They didn't turn the ball over either, which, a very, very good look. Don't get me wrong. The defense had a great day, ended up with 3 interceptions, but when you see your opponent playing 3 different quarterbacks, you kind of know you're not exactly going up against the cream of the crop. The running game didn't look good for Washington State either, so a very good day from North Texas across the board, but we'll see what they can do here. They got to go on the road, and they're about to be severely tested by the Army Black Knights. Now, the Black Knights, this is only going to be their 3rd game of the season. They opened their year with a pretty surprising loss there to Tarleton State. They lost that one 30-27 in a nail-biter, but in game 2, they knocked off Kansas State 24-21. So once again, a pretty close game with the Black Knights coming out on top this time. We liked what we saw from the Black Knights offense overall there in week 2. The running attack, you know what they're going to do. It's going to be the option, and it's working. It really, really worked there in week 2. The quarterback play is what it is. It's not going to be a ton of passes, but that's just the name of the game here for this team. 41 carries there for Helms, guys. 124 yards, 2 touchdowns. That is solid work. They're going to grind you into dust. They're not going to turn the ball over. They did a great job of doing what they want to do there on offense. Now, defensively, they gave up 21 points. Not terrible. They had an interception, didn't give up much to the run, gave up very, very little to the pass there. Really a very, very good day. Giving up only 21 points for the Army Black Knights is good defensive work, and I mean, you can't ask for really more than winning the turnover battle. Very, very good stuff there from Army. So honestly, really liked what we saw from them there in week 2. And looking at the numbers, so did the odds makers. Army, basically a coin flip in this game. They're getting a 1.5. We've got a total of 50.5 in this game. North Texas is 2-1 against the spread this year. Army is 1-1 against the spread. Guys, I'm going to take Army here, getting the little bit of points there at home. They had, they were a weird team to try and figure out coming into this year. Losing their opener at home against an FCS opponent, pretty unacceptable, but they've got an impressive road win already here against Kansas State. They're a very tough team to prepare for with that triple option attack. North Texas beat Western Michigan on the road 33-30, but this figures to be a much rougher test there for the Mean Green. North Texas coming off an impressive result their last outing, taking down Washington State in a blowout, but I think this could be a good opportunity here to sell high on North Texas as they go into a tricky road environment against a very reasonable opponent. Next on the docket, we're looking at the SMU Mustangs going on the road to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. SMU had a bit of a mixed bag to start this year. They obviously got the walkover win in week 1. Then they lost in an absolute crazy thriller there against Baylor in several overtimes. Then they followed that up with what was supposed to be a cupcake game there against Missouri State, one of the newest teams here in big-time college football. And they did win 28-10, but they were losing 10-0 after the first quarter. It was not an amazing showing there by the Mustangs. Kevin Jennings had an interception in that game, 1 touchdown pass. He did pass for 281 yards. The running game got going all right. TJ Harden, 96 yards on 15 carries, but the way they started this game was not impressive. They got off to a very, very slow start, and if they do something similar against a solid TCU team, might not end up with the same result here. They also fumbled the ball away once. 2 total turnovers against a team that's going to be, in the bottom part of what we're looking at in terms of real college football teams does not get me too jazzed up about the Mustangs. They gave up 275 passing yards to Missouri State, gave up some amount on the ground, nothing too crazy, but they were only able to generate, I guess they did end with 3 interceptions by the end of the game, but I did not love what I saw from SMU there in week 3, and really haven't loved anything I've seen from them this season. So we'll see what they can do here on the road against TCU. The Horned Frogs absolutely obliterated Bill Belichick in North Carolina in week 1. Then they followed that up with a 42-21 win last week over Abilene Christian. Obviously not a game where we expected TCU to be threatened at all, and they kept their foot on the gas. They were 28-0 at halftime. Then they took their foot off the gas. But still, I was not bothered by anything they did. Josh Hoover, a monster game, 4 touchdown passes, no interceptions, 337 yards through the air. The running game looked good in fairly limited action. They were throwing it a lot, and that's kind of their MO. But really liked what we saw from the TCU Horned Frogs there on offense. Defensively, they did give up something, gave up a little bit late there in the 3rd and 4th quarters, but I don't mind them taking their foot off the gas and up 28-0. That was not a big concern. They struggled a little bit against the run, but like I said, most of that came late. So really, guys, a pretty solid day across the board there from TCU in week 2. Definitely just very monster performance in week 1. So looking at the numbers for week 4 here, TCU, they're 7-point favorites. We've got a total of 62.5 in this game. SMU, the Mustangs, they're 0-3 against the spread already this year. TCU's 1-1 against the spread. Guys, I'm definitely taking TCU here at -7. I know maybe we're buying a little bit high here on the Horned Frogs, but on the offensive side of the ball, very, unsurprised to see them so good in, both their first two games. They're 16th in the nation in offense, 18th in passing. They are definitely going to be able to take advantage of a very weak SMU offense. Pretty skeptical here about SMU in general. They're 112th in the nation in total defense. Offense hasn't been as good as advertised coming into the year. They did beat Missouri State on the road in their last outing, but yeah, it was way more competitive of a game than you would have thought. Definitely give me TCU here at -7. Hey guys, hopping here to the quick shout out to the sponsor today and every day's video, and that is stumpthespread.com. Click the link in the description to go over there and see the top confidence picks from our entire team of experienced cappers. Right now, our premium members are getting daily MLB, UFC, NFL, and college football picks. Major League Baseball has had a great season so far. College football is coming off a very good week last week. NFL has been cooking. NHL is right around the corner. We're running a sale on full season NHL packages, so definitely want to get in the mix on that. You also want to get over to stumpthespread.com and check out all the free stuff we offer. We've got free picks over there every single day for every major sport. Tons of good information over there for absolutely free. You want to check out that bet size calculator, and that's also, guys, where you'll find our top confidence premium picks. They don't always match what you see here in the videos, obviously, because I'm not the premium NFL, NCAA football, MLB, or UFC handicapper over there. We have a team of experts with tons of experience, a decade plus for every single guy over there in the mix, working on these plays on a daily basis. A ton of work is going into those predictions, and it's crazy the amount of work they can put in and keep track of all these college football players. It's absolutely crazy. So a ton of great work goes into those. Definitely consider signing up. They can pay for themselves pretty quickly. And last week, definitely some premium picks paid for themselves because it was a very nice week of NCAA football action. On the premium side, we didn't go 3-3 like we did here in the video. We went 4-2, solid win there on Alabama as 20.5-point favorites. Virginia Tech, that one was a tough loss. That one did not work out, but Utah came through as a nice 2-unit play. LSU covered those 9.5 points as a nice 2-unit play, and Vanderbilt getting 5.5 points. That was a very nice win. Now, we did close things off on a loss there with Boston College. They couldn't make it happen for us, but a 4-2 day on NCAA football, and we're still early in the season in week 3. Still find out a lot about these teams. That was not a bad week at all. So definitely want to consider getting in on the premium picks over there at stumpthespread.com, but you also want to be clicking that link down in the description to get over there and get on the free email newsletter. It's a fantastic resource. You can get on that newsletter. You'll get an email every single day. If you get on that newsletter, it'll have at least one free pick in it, oftentimes 2 free picks, information on niche sports betting like golf, NASCAR, tennis. WNBA is often included, and WNBA probably not going to be a free sport next year. That's probably going to end up in the premium section because we just had such a good year on WNBA this year. So definitely want to get in on that and check it out. There's also parlays in those emails. So tons of great information in there every single day. You definitely want to get on that email list. Also, if you're a huge fan of what you're seeing from us here every single day, you want to click that little join button right below the video to become a YouTube channel member. YouTube channel members get early access to all of our videos. They get their name on screen in every single video, but maybe more importantly, they get access to our members only giveaways. We'll be giving away one Stump the Spread hoodie to one random channel member here every single week from here on out. We've got a giveaway coming up here on the 22nd. So if you want to be in on that one, guys, definitely sign up for a YouTube channel membership before the 22nd. But we got to dive back in. A ton more college football action to get into here. And next up, we're going to be looking at the James Madison Dukes going on the road to take on the Liberty Flames. James Madison comes into this game 1-1 on the season. They got an easy 45-10 win over Weber State in week 1 before losing 28-14 in week 2 there against Louisville. Obviously pretty overmatched in that game, but they played things really tight. They were actually leading at halftime in that one. So I liked a lot of what I saw from James Madison there in week 2. I mean, Barnett had a pretty good day. 102 passing yards and a passing touchdown. Didn't turn the ball over, so that's good work. Obviously, the Dukes want to be running the ball. That's kind of the name of their game. And yeah, I mean, pretty good work, honestly. They, as a team, 126 yards and a touchdown on the ground. That's not too bad. They did have one interception there. That wasn't ideal, but if they take care of the ball a little bit better, they have a chance to actually knock off Louisville. So that would have been a really big win for them. Overall, I didn't hate what I saw, just hated those mistakes. Now, defensively, giving up only 28 points against Louisville is not terrible. They did a good job of holding the passing game in check. did give up a bit much to the run, but if you take out that one 78-yard run there from Isaac Brown, all of a sudden all those numbers look way more impressive. So really liked a lot of what we saw from the Dukes there in week 3. Now we'll see what they can do here against the Liberty Flames. Now Liberty's 1-2 on the year. They've lost their last 2 in a row, losing against Bowling Green and Jackson State. That's not a great look. They did beat Maine in week 1, but losing 23-13 against Bowling Green, I guess they were in it a little bit. They're only down 10-0 at halftime. I'm kind of grasping at straws here to find some positives. The quarterback play did not look great. A couple of interceptions there. The running game was okay. I'll give him at least a little bit of credit there. Evan Dickens did have a pretty good day, 14 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. They turned the ball over 4 times, though. That's not going to work. You're going to lose most of the games where you have that many turnovers. The defense, they did some good stuff. They were pretty solid there against the passing game. They gave up a lot to the run, and when you're in bad situations from the offense putting you in bad situations due to turnovers, there's only so much you can do. So really haven't loved what I've seen from Liberty this season. And looking at the numbers, guys, the Flames are getting 8 points here at home. We've got a total of 47. The Dukes, they're 2-0 against the spread this year. They've been playing well. Liberty, they're 0-3 against the spread. Guys, I'm going to take James Madison here. At -8, that seems like a very reasonable value to me. They're one of the most talented Group 5 teams in the country. It's actually almost an issue that they have multiple, strong options there at the quarterback's position. They kind of got to try to get everybody playing time. I'd like to see them, pick a guy here. I would assume they're going to go with Barnett, but we'll see. Either way, though, I'm not too worried about it. This isn't the same level of Liberty team we've seen in recent years. That was obviously very evident with how they looked against Jacksonville State and Bowling Green. So yeah, definitely happy to fade them here and take James Madison at -8. Rolling right along here, guys, we're looking at the Purdue Boilermakers going on the road to take on number 24 Notre Dame. The Boilermakers 2-1 on the year. They had their first test last week, and going up against USC, they couldn't get the job done, losing 33-17, but they looked good in their first 2 games of the year. Against USC, they did keep it relatively competitive. Didn't get off to a great start. They were losing 17-3 at halftime, but they did get on the board there, and we liked a decent amount of what we saw from their offense. Ryan Brown getting picked off 3 times is not going to work, but he passed for over 300 yards. That's a very good look. Completed 24 of 39. Take a couple mistakes out of there, and all of a sudden it looks like a much better day. The running game didn't get tons of work, obviously, since they were trailing, but they were able to move it on the ground when they tried to do that. They only had those 3 interceptions. They didn't put it on the ground in terms of any fumbles, so that's at least something positive there, but you limit those mistakes, they would have been right there with the Trojans. So honestly, not a terrible day offensively for Purdue. Offensively, they did a good job of holding the passing attack in check. They didn't have a lot of great answers there for the USC running game, but they did keep it relatively competitive. 33-17 is not the worst final score we're going to see out there. So it wasn't a bad day all there for Purdue. They didn't generate any turnovers. I would have liked to see that happen, but we'll see what they can do here. They got to go on the road. It's not going to be the easiest environment. They're taking on Notre Dame. The Fighting Irish are still looking for their first win of the season. Now, they started things off pretty, going up against some pretty tough teams there. Against Miami, losing 27-24, and then a 1-point loss against Texas A&M. Now, what do we chalk this up to? Do we really think Notre Dame's bad, or do we just think they're getting a little bit unlucky? The quarterback play, it was okay there against Texas A&M. 293 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The running game looked good, but, they didn't turn the ball over any more than that one time, but the defense is a very big concern for me. They gave up 360 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns. They did have that 1 interception, so that's nice, but they gave up a lot to the run, only had that 1 turnover, and I don't know, man. I'm not very happy with what I'm seeing from the Notre Dame defense. That's not a great look. Not a great look. So we'll see what they can do here. They are going back home. That should help. The odds makers love them here. They're 25.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 51.5 in this game. Purdue's 2-1 against the spread this year. Notre Dame, they're 0-2 against the spread this season. Guys, I'll take Purdue here getting 25.5 points. I think Notre Dame's going to come through with the win, obviously, but this is a potential letdown spot for the Irish coming off very emotionally draining loss there against Texas A&M a week ago. Purdue hasn't been a complete pushover by any means, keeping things relatively competitive there against USC, being outgained by 95 yards in that game. Not a bad look. Keeping it within 16, I wouldn't be shocked to see a similar result in this one. I think Purdue can hang in there. Are they going to win? No. Are they going to lose by 30? That seems very unlikely to me. So give me Purdue here, getting 25.5 points. Definitely an underdog here that I'm keeping my eye on. Next up, guys, we're looking at the Tulane Green Wave going on the road to take on number 13 Ole Miss. Tulane comes into this game undefeated on the year. They took down the Blue Devils last week. Very impressive stuff, winning 34-27 as predicted, I will say. They blew out Northwestern in week 1, barely got by South Alabama, but they've been looking really good. We'll see what they can do here against Ole Miss. Now, last week against the Blue Devils, who haven't looked great, don't get me wrong. Liked what we saw from Reslaf. He had a pretty good day, 15 of 23, 245, no interceptions, no touchdowns. He did a great job in the running game, though. He had 4 touchdowns on the ground and over 100 rushing yards. So, yeah, is it kind of a one-man show? Maybe, but it's a pretty good show, guys. It's a pretty good show. The offense looked great. Did turn the ball over once. There was that one fumble, but other than that, a very good day. Defensively, giving up 27 points to Duke isn't a terrible effort. They had 1 interception, but did give up 3 touchdown passes. They gave up a good amount to the run, too, so the defense didn't have nearly as good of a day as the offense, but it was good enough to help them get the win. So, we'll see what they can do here going up against Ole Miss. The Rebels come into this game still undefeated. They beat Georgia State, took down Kentucky 30-23, but a very close game there, and then won 41-35 against Arkansas last week. So, they're hanging on to their very solid rating, right there on the edge of making the playoff. They're going to go up against Tulane here. Probably not a team they're going to take that seriously. Now, quarterback play looked very, very good there against Arkansas. Total of 357 passing yards and 2 passing touchdowns. Now, a little bit of trickeration going on there for sure, but liked what we saw there under center. The running game worked out. It wasn't amazing. 62 yards and 15 carries and 44 yards on 17 carries. 3 rushing touchdowns looked great, but it wasn't exactly a day where they were just getting everything they wanted on the ground or just everything they wanted offensively in general. So we'll see. We'll see what they're able to do here against, not an amazing Tulane defense. The, defense for Ole Miss, though, they gave up 35 points against Arkansas, gave up 305 passing yards and a touchdown. Couldn't stop the run at all. That's a big concern coming into this game. I don't know. They did create 1 turnover, so I guess that's the positive here. But Ole Miss not really having an incredible game in that one. So we'll see what they do here. They're at home. They're 12.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 61.5 in this game. Tulane's 2-1 against the spread this year. So is Ole Miss. Guys, I'm going to be backing Tulane here, getting 12.5 points. Ole Miss, I think they're going to be a little bit messed up there with that injury to the starting quarterback. The Rebels do have the luxury of a solid backup quarterback, but that can be a bit of a challenge. Didn't have a great time against Arkansas. They did win, but we'll see what this one looks like going up against one of the better group of 5 teams. Tulane, they look great on offense this year, even better than I expected. Bringing in Jake Reslaf has been amazing for this team. They have a Power 4 wins against both Northwestern and Duke. I think they're going to stay very competitive in this one. Are they going to win? That might be a bit of a big ask, but I do think this is another underdog play that we definitely want to keep in mind. Next on the docket, we're looking at the Louisiana Raging Cajuns going on the road to take on the Eastern Michigan Eagles. Now, the Raging Cajuns come into this game fresh off a tough loss there against Mizzou. They lost that one 52-10, so not a great showing. They did beat McNeese, but they lost 14-12 against Rice to open their year. This team has not been having a great time, obviously. Real rough showing there against Mizzou. Nothing went right. The passing game couldn't go 5 passing yards in the game. Not a lot to be excited about. I guess that 84-yard run there from Perry is the highlight for them. And other than that, not a lot of positives. They couldn't stop the run, couldn't stop the pass, couldn't get their offense going. I don't really know where you find the positives on this one. Now, Eastern Michigan, on the other hand, has had no wins this season. That's not obviously ideal. Lost to Texas State, lost to Long Island, then came up very short against Kentucky last week, losing 48-23 in that one. Don't have a lot of great things to say about the Eagles. In their game against Kentucky, they at least did get the passing game going really well. Noah Kim, a good day throwing the ball, 330 yards and a touchdown. He was picked off once, but not a bad day. The running game got going as well. So maybe the positives are just the offense finally starting to gel there against Kentucky. Maybe this is something they can build on. Defensively, they were not able to stop Kentucky, but you wouldn't really expect that with the kind of, talent gap that you're going to have when you've got a team like Eastern Michigan taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. So it wasn't necessarily a banner day for the defense, but the offense really found a way to get things going. So looking at the numbers for this game, we see Eastern Michigan, they're getting 2.5 points at home. We've got a total of 50.5. Both of these teams are 1-2 against the spread this season. I'm actually going to take Eastern Michigan here getting 2.5 points in this matchup. Pretty low in Louisiana right now. The Cajuns rank 129th in the nation in offensive output. They took a bad loss in their home opener against Rice, and in their last outing, they were just obliterated there by Mizzou. Eastern Michigan has shown to be a better offensive threat than Louisiana, with the Eagles ranking 69th in the nation in offensive output. Hasn't been great for Eastern Michigan during their 0-3 start of the season, obviously, but I really liked what I saw from them against Kentucky there on offense, and with home field and the better offense, I'll take Eastern Michigan here, especially getting some points. Rapid fire through these games, guys. We're looking at the Arkansas State Red Wolves going on the road to take on the Kennesaw State Owls. Now, Arkansas State comes in this game 1-2 on the year. They beat Southeast Missouri to start their season in a very comfortable win, but then going up against Arkansas, a game they weren't probably going to keep close ever. They lost 56-14, but last week, a big step forward. They held very tight there against number 14 Iowa State, eventually losing 24-16, but you gotta really give them some credit there. I mean, that was a solid game there from Arkansas State. We liked what we saw from Rayner, throwing the ball 222 yards. He was picked off once, but he did a lot of work there on the ground, 16 carries for 83 yards. The running game was very impressive there from the Red Wolves. I liked a lot of what I saw from them offensively. They did have that one turnover. You cut that out, could have made this game even closer potentially. Defensively, giving up only 24 points against Iowa State. Not a bad look at all. Did generate an interception. Couldn't stop the running attack, which when you're going up against a team that's that much bigger and better than you, okay, fair enough. You're going to give up something, but I mean, they generated a turnover and only gave up 24 points against a top 14 team in the nation. I got to give you major props for that. So we'll see what they can do here going on the road against Kennesaw State. The Owls just got their first win of the year. They lost to Wake Forest 10-9 in week 1. They got obliterated 56-9 by Indiana in week 2. Then they went home, played against Merrimack, and got the 27-13 win. So congrats on getting off the schneid there and getting a win, but I'm not throwing you a party for a 27-13 win over the Merrimack Warriors. Didn't love anything we really saw in the passing game. I mean, you only passed for 108 yards, and Dexter Williams passed for 88. Like, I don't know, guys. Two quarterbacks getting plenty of reps. That's not usually a great look. The running game didn't do anything too just insane in this game. They didn't turn the ball over more than that one time, so I guess that's nice, but you're going up against a team you should be so much better than. I'm just not really thrilled with what I saw. They gave up somewhat to the running game, struggled against the pass a bit. I mean, I don't know, guys. They generated 0 turnovers against Merrimack. Like, I don't have a lot of great things to say about the Kennesaw State Owls defense in that game. So, looking at the numbers here, I'm not shocked to see them getting some points. They're getting 4.5 points here at home. We've got a total of 56.5. Arkansas State, the Red Wolves, they're 2-1 against the spread. Kennesaw State 1-2 against the spread. I'll definitely take the Arkansas State Red Wolves here at -4.5. They were a lot more competitive with Iowa State in their last outing than we were expecting, eventually losing 16-24, but they hung in there with a very good opponent, and being outgained in the contest by only 70 yards of offense is very impressive. I love Jalen Rayner. He should be the difference maker here for this game. I think the rest of the season he's going to have a good time here against Group of 5 competition, so definitely give me Arkansas State here to get a blowout win and cover. Next up, guys, we're looking at a pretty big game here between the West Virginia Mountaineers and the Kansas Jayhawks. Now, West Virginia comes into this game 2-1 on the year, got off to a good start there against Robert Morris, lost against Ohio, not a good look there, and then beat Pitt 31-24 last week. So by far their best game of the season there, taking down the Pittsburgh Panthers. It was a crazy overtime game that they eventually won with a touchdown, but yeah, it was a little bit of tough sledding at times there. I mean, we'll see what they're able to do in this one. West Virginia, the quarterback play looked improved for sure, but 2 interceptions there from Scotty Fox Jr. That's not somebody we're probably going to see under center a ton in this game. The running attack was definitely online. 25 carries for 141 yards and 3 touchdowns there for Edwards. That was a big game. Defensively, they did generate 1 turnover, but gave up 303 passing yards. That's a bit concerning. Didn't give up that much to the run, but it's not like the Panthers were trying to run the ball that much anyway necessarily. So yeah, we'll see. I'm expecting pretty, we'll see. We'll see what we get out of West Virginia in this one. They are going on the road, which can be a lot tougher here, and they're taking on the Jayhawks, who are 2-1 on the year. They just took their first loss of the season. They blew out 2 pretty much walkover opponents before losing 42-31 against Missouri. A Missouri team that's looking really good. Now, Kansas was very much in that game, guys. They were up 21-6 at the end of the first quarter. Didn't close the half well eventually, and things ended up tied there at halftime, but liked a lot of what we saw from the Jayhawks. Very good stuff from Daniels there under center, 2 touchdowns. He did get picked off once, but passed for 223 yards. The running game didn't do a crazy amount. I mean, Daniels there with the 1 rushing touchdown. They didn't turn the ball over besides that interception, so that was a good look. Defensively, giving up 42 points to Mizzou honestly doesn't look amazing, but it's Mizzou, guys. They're 2 steps above a team like the Kansas Jayhawks. I think Mizzou could be a dark horse to potentially end up in the playoff because this team pretty legit. So I didn't hate what I saw from Kansas there last week. And look at the numbers for this game, guys. The Jayhawks are minus 13. We've got a total of 55.5. West Virginia's 2-1 against the spread. Kansas is 1-2 against the spread. I'm going to be leaning towards Kansas here. I think this is going up to 13.5, but I'm not going to let that scare me off. West Virginia did find something there late at home against Pittsburgh in their last outing, come from behind to get that overtime win. Anything can happen in rivalry games like that, and the Mountaineers certainly surprised a lot of people there. We're not going to be overly optimistic on them regardless, though. Their offensive performance in that loss at Ohio just haunts me right now. The Jayhawks did fall apart late in their road loss against Missouri, but they could have won that game. That would have been incredible. I've got a lot more confidence in their offense at this point, and we really like their veteran quarterback there, Jalen Daniels. Next on the docket, guys, we're looking at the Boise State Broncos going on the road to take on the Air Force Falcons. Now, Boise State, they come into this game 1-1 on the season, got off to a rough start to their year, going on the road there and losing against South Florida 34-7. Not their best showing, but they bounced back quickly, taking down Eastern Washington in an absolute blowout, winning that game 51-14. The Broncos are going to be an interesting team this season. Obviously, losing Genty there is not going to feel amazing, but Dylan Riley ended up running for 123 yards on only 6 carries and got a touchdown against Eastern Washington. Gaines had 98 yards on 14 carries. Seems like they're going to be just fine there in the running game. The passing game also looked good there. Madison had a very, very nice day, a couple touchdown passes. Boise State did not turn over the ball in this game and looked a lot closer to what I think this team is actually going to be this season than what we saw from them in week 1 against a very, very tough opponent. Now, defensively, they had an amazing day against a team they were completely overmatching. I don't expect to see them give up 102 passing yards very often. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than that, but overall, a very, very good game there from the Boise State Broncos. Now, they're going to be taking on a interesting opponent here in the Air Force Falcons. Now, Air Force beat Bucknell to open their season, winning 49-13. Then they went on the road and lost to Utah State 49-30. Now, not as good of a showing there in game 2. Obviously, they were hanging around there at halftime, I suppose. The second half of that game was absolutely bonkers. Now, the passing game for Air Force really isn't their focus, obviously, and it didn't look good. 2 interceptions could have made a big difference in that game, obviously. The running attack is where it's at for this team, obviously, and they did, put up a lot of yards, 266 yards on 61 carries and 4 rushing touchdowns. They did fumble the ball away once, so a total of 3 turnovers does not exactly get me super jazzed up about Air Force here. The defense did not look good, struggling against the pass, struggling against the run, really just couldn't stop anything that Utah State wanted to do. They generated a grand total of 0 turnovers, I believe. Yeah, 0 turnovers in that game. I don't know about the Air Force Falcons, guys. I'm not seeing them having an amazing year here. So looking at the numbers, they're getting 10 points at home. We've got a total of 51.5 in this game. Boise State's 1-1 against the spread. So is Air Force. Guys, I'll definitely take the Broncos here at minus 10. Didn't go off to the ideal start, losing their opener on the road against South Florida, but I still like them a lot to be a top-tier threat there in the Mountain West. They still are 17th in the nation offensive output. The Broncos will outclass most of the teams here in the Mountain West on the offensive side of the ball, and Air Force didn't look great in the Mountain West opener, losing at Utah State in that massive, maybe not massive blowout, a pretty big blowout. I think there's going to be a way better team here in Boise State than Utah State, so definitely give me the Broncos here to win this game by more than 10. This has potential to be our lock of the day. Next on the docket, guys, we got one of the biggest games of the entire day. We're looking at the Florida Gators going on the road to take on the number 4 Miami Hurricanes. Now, the Gators, 1-2 on the year, getting off to an extremely rough start. They obliterated Long Island in week 1, winning 55-0. Congratulations on that. But then they lost to South Florida 18-16, then lost kind of a heartbreaker there last week at number 3 LSU. Now, the Gators, there was a lot of hope coming into this season that they were going to have an amazing year. It hasn't materialized so far. You can't throw 5 interceptions against LSU and expect to win. The happy thing for them is they threw 5 interceptions and still only lost by 10. That game was right there for them. The running attack looked decent, didn't get enough work. Obviously, you shouldn't be throwing the ball 49 times if your quarterback can't keep from throwing it to the other team. But I do think there's a good chance we see a bounce back from him in this one. They did a good job taking care of the ball besides that, so that's a bit of a positive. The biggest positive for me in that game was their defense. Holding LSU to only 20 points, not a bad look. Generated an interception, didn't let too much go on there in the passing game. They did give up a 51-yard run. That was bad, but other than that, they looked very, very good on defense in this game. So I'm not nearly as low as the average person is on the Florida Gators. I think this team is still going to be okay out there. Now, the Hurricanes, They're having a real good time here in the early goings, guys. They took down Notre Dame to open their season 27-24. Big win there. Walkover win there against Bethune-Cookman. But then that nice 49-12 blowout win over South Florida, that was a pretty big deal for the Hurricanes. We'll see if they can keep that momentum going here. This is obviously a pretty big, pretty big rivalry spot. So we'll see what Miami does this time. We did see Carson Beck throw a couple interceptions there last week against South Florida. Not a great look there. The running game though was very much online, just obliterating there against South Florida. Now will that happen against a team as solid as actual Florida? We'll wait and see on that one. I didn't hate anything necessarily I saw from Miami except for those interceptions. Defensively, they didn't really stop the pass. They slowed it down but didn't stop it. Obviously, the Bulls didn't get a chance to run the ball much, but I have some questions still about this Miami Hurricanes team. So look at the numbers here, guys. They're 7.5-point favorites. We've got a total of 51 in this game. Florida's 1-2 against the spread. Miami's 2-1 against the spread. This is going to be a very contrarian view here, but I'm leaning towards Florida getting 7.5 points. Great buy low spot here for the Gators. They actually outplayed LSU on the road last week, and if it wasn't for all those interceptions, could have won that game, and maybe they'll use it as a bit of a learning experience. Could benefit them here in the long run. They're better than their 1-2 record would indicate. If they can clean up the mistakes, they can still be a very tough out. Miami has already grabbed nice resume-building wins there against Notre Dame and South Florida. I expect this to be a very competitive rivalry game, and that makes me really like the points. Last but not least here, guys, we're looking at the Wyoming Cowboys going on the road to take on the Colorado Buffaloes. Wyoming, they come into this game 2-1 on the year. They took down Akron. They took down Northern Iowa. Then they lost 31-6 in their first real test of the season going up against number 20 Utah. So we'll see what they can do to bounce back here. They do have to go on the road. Not something that is usually the easiest thing to do in college football. Last week, did not like what we saw from Caden Anderson there under center. Only passed for 108 yards and 1 interception. That's a pretty bad day. The running game didn't get going in a crazy way necessarily. I mean, they had a couple decent runs there in 1 rushing touchdown, but not a very good day offensively there for the Cowboys whatsoever. They turned the ball over a total of 2 times. That's not usually going to work, especially when you're going up against an elite level opponent. So we'll see what they can do on offense to bounce back a little bit. Defensively was it was a rough day. Really couldn't stop the run at all. Couldn't stop Devin Dampier at all. Just he on his own accounted for an awful lot. Well over 300 yards of offense and a couple touchdowns. Couldn't stop the run in general. They did create 1 turnover, I suppose, but really not many positives to find there for the Wyoming Cowboys last week, especially on defense or offense. Really, it was just a terrible game. You got blown out 31-6. What am I going to find to say good about that? It's pretty rough. Now, they're going to be taking on a Colorado team. Comes in this game looking for a bit of a bounce back in this one. They're 1-2 on the year. They lost against Georgia Tech in a very close 27-20 game. Blew out Delaware. Then they lost at Houston 36-20. Now, last week didn't really get me super jazzed up what I saw from Colorado. We did see some positives. Staub did have a touchdown pass and 204 yards, but was picked off twice. The running game got going a bit. The defense, though, really floundered around. It wasn't the best look there for the defense, so I'm sure they're very happy to be taking a step down in competition for this one, giving up 222 passing yards on 24 passing attempts and not being able to stop the run and losing 36-20. Not what the Buffaloes were hoping for. So we'll see if they can bounce back here. They're 13-point favorites at home. Being at home makes a difference here. They're 44.5. There is the total. Wyoming's 2-1 against the spread. Colorado's 0-2-1 against the spread, but regardless, I think I'm going to lean towards Colorado here at -13. This is a bit of a bet against the Wyoming offense more than anything. They had one of the weaker offenses in college football last season, and things haven't looked great so far this year. 95th in the nation offensive output. There's no denying Colorado has disappointed in their losses against Georgia Tech and Houston, but against more manageable competition, they beat down Delaware at home. We like Colorado. I think they're likely to come back here. We'll see if Salter and company can get here going, but I think the Buffaloes have a higher ceiling, but is this going to make the pinned comment? Maybe that's a bit of a stretch. Guys, that's all the games we have here for today on the NCAA football slate. Hit that like button for good luck on all of your bets. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Let me know in the comments any questions you have on today's slate. I appreciate everyone watching. Make sure you click the link in the description to get over there to stumpthespread.com. Check out all the premium college football content we got over there. A ton of premium plays over there coming off a very good week last week. So definitely get in on that. Get over there to see our free college football pick of the week. Definitely want to get on that email list. Also, there will be free college football information in that as well. I'm very, very confident. Guys, we'll be right back here tomorrow. Same time, same place, and we'll be bringing you a bunch of NFL action. We'll break down the entire NFL slate.